The evening was quiet. The soft hum of the refrigerator filled the dimly lit kitchen. Olivia sat at the table, her fingers lightly tracing the rim of her coffee mug. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, but she barely noticed. Her mind was elsewhere, lost in a storm of thoughts she never imagined she would have. Her husband, Daniel, was running late again. He had texted earlier, the same excuse as always. Work meeting ran long. Don't wait up. She stared at the words on her phone, her grip tightening. The messages had become predictable, almost scripted. A year ago, she wouldn't have questioned them. But now, every word felt like a carefully constructed lie. She wasn't the type to jump to conclusions. Their marriage had been built on trust, or at least, that's what she had believed. But little things had started adding up. A change in his cologne. Late nights that never used to happen. The sudden need for a passcode on his phone. A gut feeling that gnawed at her, whispering truths she didn't want to hear. She had ignored it at first, brushing off her doubts. But doubt is like splinter. It digs in, festers, refuses to be ignored. And tonight, she was done ignoring it. She picked up her phone, opened a private browser, and typed in his name, along with a phrase she never thought she would search. Is my husband cheating? The results were overwhelming. Signs of infidelity. Subtle changes in behavior. Secretive phone habits. A lack of intimacy. She read every word, and with each bullet point, her heart sank. It was as if someone had written an article about Daniel himself. A sharp beep from her phone startled her. A message from her friend, Mia. Hey, are you okay? I know something's been off. Olivia hesitated before typing back. I don't know. I think Daniel's lying to me. The reply was almost instant. I had a feeling. Want to talk? She exhaled, her fingers trembling as she typed. Not yet, but I need to find out the truth. She glanced at the time. 11:47 p.m. He was officially later than usual. The coffee had gone cold. The house felt emptier than ever. Finally, she heard the sound of a car pulling into the driveway. She stood up, her pulse quickening. Footsteps approached the front door, slow and deliberate. When it opened, Daniel walked in looking exhausted. His tie was loosened, his shirt slightly wrinkled. He gave her a small smile, the kind that used to make her heart flutter. Now, it only made her suspicious. Hey, he said, placing his keys on the counter. You're up late. She forced a smile. Couldn't sleep. He nodded, pouring himself a glass of water. Long day at work. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to pretend that nothing was wrong. But the scent of unfamiliar perfume clung to his clothes, a floral fragrance she didn't wear. Something inside her snapped. She could no longer ignore what was right in front of her. The next morning, she made a decision. If he was hiding something, she was going to find it. The morning sun streamed through the curtains, casting a warm glow across the bedroom. Olivia lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing. The air was thick with unspoken words, her chest heavy with the weight of betrayal. She turned her head slightly to look at Daniel, who was still asleep beside her. His breathing was slow and steady, his expression peaceful, as if he carried no guilt, no secrets. But Olivia knew better. The scent of another woman's perfume still lingered in her memory. Sliding out of bed as quietly as possible, she grabbed her phone and tiptoed to the bathroom. Locking the door behind her, she opened her search history from the night before. The articles on cheating signs still stared back at her, confirming everything she feared. But reading about it wasn't enough. She needed proof. Solid, undeniable proof. Her hands trembled as she scrolled through her contacts. Mia, the only person she trusted completely. She tapped on the name, sending a message. I need your help. Within seconds, a reply appeared. I'm here. What's wrong? I think Daniel is cheating. I need to find out for sure. Mia's response came almost immediately. Tell me what you need. Olivia exhaled slowly. What did she need? A plan. A strategy. Something to expose the truth without tipping Daniel off. She couldn't afford a confrontation without evidence. I need to go through his phone, she typed, her heart pounding as she sent the message. Mia's reply came fast. Does he leave it unlocked? No. He set a passcode a few months ago. A pause. Then another message. Do you think he has a second phone? Olivia's stomach twisted. The thought hadn't even occurred to her, but it made perfect sense. If he was really hiding something, he wouldn't risk leaving evidence on the phone he used at home. I don't know, she admitted, but I'm going to find out. She took a deep breath, her reflection staring back at her in the mirror. She didn't recognize herself. The woman looking back had dark circles under her eyes, her usual warmth replaced with cold determination. She had spent years trusting Daniel. Now, she was preparing to catch him in a lie. By the time she stepped out of the bathroom, Daniel was already in the kitchen, sipping his coffee like it was just another normal day. "Morning," he said, barely looking up from his phone. She forced a smile. "Morning." She watched as he scrolled, his thumb moving quickly over the screen. What was he hiding? Who was he texting? Her pulse quickened when he finally set his phone down on the counter, walking toward the sink. It was just out of his reach, unguarded. This was her chance. "Hey, could you grab the orange juice?" she asked, keeping her voice casual. He nodded, turning to the fridge. The moment his back was turned, she snatched the phone, her fingers moving fast. She had only a few seconds. She pressed the side button, but the lock screen glared back at her, demanding a passcode. Her stomach sank. She placed it back exactly where it had been, just as he turned around. "Want some?" he asked, holding up the carton. She nodded, swallowing the bitterness rising in her throat. He had locked her out of his life, and she wasn't going to let it slide. That night, as Daniel slept, Olivia lay awake, staring at the ceiling again. The doubt, the pain, it was suffocating. She couldn't keep living like this. If he was cheating, she needed to catch him. And if he wasn't, she needed to know why he had changed. A plan started forming in her mind. It wasn't just about checking his phone anymore. She needed more than that. If he was being careful, she had to be smarter. She picked up her own phone and opened a new search. How to track someone without them knowing. The night was silent except for the soft hum of the ceiling fan. Olivia sat on the edge of the bed, her phone screen glowing in the darkness. Her hands felt clammy as she scrolled through the options in front of her. GPS trackers, phone monitoring apps, even private investigators, there were so many ways to catch a cheater. But she didn't need all that. She just needed to be smart. Daniel had become careful. Too careful. His phone never left his side. His laptop was always locked. He even started taking showers with the bathroom door locked. Olivia knew that meant only one thing: he was hiding something. And she was done waiting for him to slip up. She glanced over at him, sound asleep, his breathing deep and steady. He looked peaceful, like a man who had nothing to worry about. But that peace was a lie. Quietly, she got out of bed and walked toward the dresser. A few weeks ago, she would never have invaded his privacy. But that version of her was gone. She carefully pulled open the top drawer, moving past his neatly folded socks and shirts. Then she felt it. The smooth, cold surface of something that didn't belong. Her fingers curled around it, and her breath caught in her throat. A second phone. She pulled it out slowly, barely able to believe what she was holding. The screen was dark, but as soon as she pressed the button, it lit up. Locked. A different passcode. Her mind raced. If this was his secret phone, it meant everything she feared was true. Her hands shook as she put the phone back exactly where she had found it. She didn't have the code, but she had something better: knowledge. She knew now, without a doubt, that Daniel had been lying to her. The next morning, Olivia acted normal. She made coffee, kissed Daniel on the cheek, and even laughed at one of his jokes. He had no idea that his secret was no longer secret. She spent the day preparing. If she wanted to catch him, she had to be patient. She had to be smart. That night, she waited until he was in the shower, then moved fast. She grabbed the second phone and hid in the closet, her fingers moving quickly. She tried his birthday. Wrong. Their anniversary. Wrong. His mother's birthday. Wrong. Her frustration was building, but she took a deep breath. She knew Daniel, knew how his mind worked. Then it hit her. She typed in the numbers. 1-2-2-1, his mistress's birthday. The screen unlocked. Her stomach flipped as she scrolled through the messages. There were dozens. Love notes. Hotel reservations. Promises. And then something even worse. A single message that sent a chill down her spine. She's starting to suspect. We need to be careful. She stared at the words, her blood running cold. He knew. He knew she was watching. And yet, he was still lying to her. That was when Olivia knew what she had to do. She wouldn't cry. She wouldn't beg. She would make him disappear.